Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF Is Secret Ponchos, Most Wanted Edition. If you remember back to 2013 at PAX, which you probably don't, and I don't blame you for that, I had a look at a game that was being prototyped called Secret Ponchos, which was a Western-themed arena brawler of sorts. And it seemed pretty promising at the time. It kind of fell off my radar since it didn't really go anywhere, and eventually I figured out, oh, it's actually done. The game's actually out. It was in early access for a lengthy period of time, and now it's finally out. I'm going to take a look at it and see if it's any good. I quite enjoyed it at PAX, actually. So, first things first, options menu. If only I could get there using the mouse, but I can't because I don't know why. First thing you need to do, this should have been caught in early access, I don't know why people didn't mention this, mouse control for menus. Please, please. This is not too much to ask. It's a very, very simple concept, and every PC game should have mouse control for menus. It's silly if you don't. Alright, graphics Graphics options, or lack thereof. Yeah, not much. 3 presets, full screen on or off, VSync on or off. Numerous problems with this. One, no resolution option. That meant that I had to change my monitor resolution to 1080p in order to record in 1080p. I should never have to do that! This is a basic principle. This is unexcusable, really. So, please sort that out. And in windowed mode, it defaults to 720p, and maybe I want 1080p. Can't do it. These are things that should be considered. And I mean, really, 3 graphics quality presets are not good enough. I mean, do I know if there's any AA, anisotropic filtering, anything like that, effects that I can turn off? No, because I just don't have the option. So that is piss poor, and frankly needs to be sorted out. Master volume, sound effects volume, and music volume, so that's always nice to have. And then your controls. You can rebind these. You can use the mouse, the keyboard, or the controller, or any combination therein, as you might imagine. So that's all good. This is exactly what I would expect. And then, last but by no means least, you have input type, so you can change the default menu display to DualShock 4, Xbox One, or keyboard if you so desire. Alright, so the game's main mode is battling online. Arcade mode is just what it sounds like, you just fight bots. And then practice is kind of that as well. So there's no meaningful single-player content, so we're going to jump into Battle Online to take a look at it. So you have unranked, ranked, and private sessions. So unranked, as you can see here, is 2v2. And in this mode, you don't get wins or losses tracked, but you are awarded bounty points, which is your rank, up to the outlaw reputation level. So, the rank systems have been unusual in this game. In many multiplayer titles, you progress by earning some sort of arbitrary currency or arbitrary levels, and more often than not, that's actually separate to your main rank in the ranked mode. That is not true in Secret Ponchos. In Secret Ponchos, when you rank up, you gain 2 perk points, and they can be spent to passively upgrade your character. This means that in ranked mode, at any rate, if you go up against someone with a higher reputation than you, they're probably going to have more perk points than you, which means they're slightly more powerful. Not absolutely more powerful, not 3 times more powerful, but more powerful nonetheless. However, in unranked mode, perk points don't count, but you can earn them, so this is a good way to prepare for ranked. However, you can only go up to the outlaw reputation level. In ranked mode, it's 1v1 and 3v3 in matchmaking with wins and losses and with perk points. In this mode, you can actually lose bounty. And bounty, as I said, represents your rank, and ranking up gets you perk points. So, it's a bit of a weird setup, honestly. And I imagine some people are going to be quite frustrated by the notion that they can't get the next set of perk points because they keep losing. And the problem is, you keep losing to people with more perk points than you. It's a kind of rich get richer situation. Now, of course, if matchmaking was working as it should be, then that shouldn't be a factor. You should be reaching people who are always the same rank as you, but that's not true because the game's player base is quite small. Alright, let's jump into unranked mode and I'll show you what's going on here. So, there are a variety of outlaws that you can choose. This is my outlaw right here. This is my highest level outlaw. He is the Deserter, and as you can see, he has a long rifle with a bayonet, and he also has a med pack. He's quite tough. He's a little bit slow, quite bulky. He can knock people over with his dash ability, which is quite good. And I've upgraded him with a few perk points to up his damage and fire rate. These are some other ones that I've got. This is the Native American fellow with the hatchets and the giant war club. We've got the titular Poncho character, Phantom Poncho, who has a shotgun as well as a bullwhip. And this fellow over here has a couple of 6-shooters and does a lot of damage and also has dynamite, but he is very fragile. This fellow right here has a Gatling gun, and all that sort of thing. If I want to create a new one, I can show you exactly how many characters there are. There's Kid Red, the killer, who has a revolver and hunter's knife, and you'll see some statistics down there as to what the character actually does. Matador, so if you want a more melee-focused character, there's Gordo, the deserter we showed you earlier, Phantom Puncher we showed you, the Wolf, who, again, Native American character, very, very agile, uses a bow and a blade, can jump on people and stab them. A Trapper, who has crazy range. The Gunman, the Warmonger, and those are the characters available. And each of these characters has 2 different weapons which have multiple fire modes, so there's quite a lot of depth within each one of them. One problem I've got with this is that it doesn't tell you what the different attacks are before you actually select the Outlaw. This is a problem I think that the game has across all of its menus, really. I would like to know what this character does. Revolver and Hunter's Knife doesn't really give me a lot of information. How does the revolver fire? What's its alternate fire mode? Does it have a third fire mode? What are its effects? Are there any combos? It doesn't tell you any of those things. The only time you can actually get that information is in-game, as in during a match, by holding the left cursor key, which covers the entire screen in a bunch of controller information. Dumb, 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 dumb. Absolutely ridiculous. That's the sort of thing that should clearly be given here, and in the My Outlaw menu, it should be given everywhere. I should be able to learn that without having to go into a game to do it. It's insane that I have to do that. That's fine. So we're at max level here for the unranked. That's not a big deal. We're just going to jump into it anyway. And I'll show you unranked a little bit, and then I can use a couple of different characters here. And then I could jump into ranked mode with my highest level character, which is the Deserter. So, as I said, 2v2, it'll connect you relatively quickly. It's not too hard to get a game. I mentioned about the population issues earlier. You can still get a game. Getting a game is easy. It's whether or not you'll get a game against somebody who is of equal skill level to you, or be paired up with someone who has equal skill level to you. I've paired up with complete newbies. I've ended up in teams in ranked mode where someone's asked, how do you secondary fire? I have to wonder if they even did the tutorial, because of course all that information is available there. But that can cause a bit of a problem, to say the least. It's actually my biggest beef with the multiplayer right now, especially in ranked. And it's a weird situation because it's hard to solve. As someone that's supposed to be recommending games or not for consumers, I'm left in a rather odd situation in this particular set of circumstances. If I recommend this game when it has a small community, then I can potentially increase the size of the community and solve this problem. But, simultaneously, I'm also recommending a game that currently has a problem. It's a bit of a catch-22. It's like saying, well, oh, I should join when the game has a bigger player base so that ranked problem ceases to be an issue. But if you don't join, the ranked problem is always going to be an issue. So I suppose over the next 10 or so minutes, I'm going to try and tell you whether or not it's actually a good game and worth playing. So here we go. We are in Secret Ponchos, and I have 2 weapons here. I have this long rifle, and if I hold the left button, here's what I'm talking about. It's going to show me all that stuff. You know, hey, here's my specials and all that sort of thing. Here are my shots. But I can't. This is useless. I don't want to be reading this in the middle of a fight. That's ludicrous. Thankfully, I know how this character plays, so I don't really need to worry about that. But when you're learning characters in this game, the fact that you don't have access to that information anywhere else is ridiculous and a bloody nightmare. Okay, so with this character, I have a number of different fire modes. As you can see, I can set up a sort of snipe here, which means I can't move, but it's long range, and I think it's the second longest range thing in the game. Outside of that, I can do a spread shot attack, which is relatively short range, as you can see here. And I can also do a bayonet charge. And the bayonet charge will let me impale somebody. And then I can shoot them in a particular direction. I've shot them towards my friend, who I was hoping would be able to stun them, but he did not. And I think this guy's actually run out of dodges, so yeah, he's got cornered and he's away from his teammates, so I think we can actually just beat him up a little bit here. Try and shoot him on the way out with the long shot, and I did get it. There we go. So you can see already the variety of attacks I actually have and the ways that I can combo them together. The Impale in particular, not only is it going to do damage, ow, friendly fire is the thing in this game, by the way, but it's also going to give me the opportunity to shoot an enemy towards one of my friends where they can follow up the attack, which is great. You know, that's absolutely the sort of thing that you should be finding in a tactical arena brawler. Now, if you played Bloodline Champions, I think you're going to be reminded of that game quite a lot by Secret Ponchos. I think when people looked at it, they thought, oh, it's a twin stick. Only in the most vague of ways is it a twin stick. It is much more like Bloodline Champions. It is a high skill ceiling arena brawler. It involves positioning. It involves a lot of skill shots. It involves understanding of your team's various abilities and synergizing them together and learning all the little tricks, as well as resource conservation. You know, the dodge resource in particular, see the yellow pips down to the bottom there, you can't dodge all the time. Absolutely not. And if you try and do that, then you are rapidly going to run out of the ability to get anything done whatsoever. So you do want to watch out for that. And that is something to bear in mind. And I like that. You know, it reminds me a little bit of fighting games, actually. And the developer said that they were inspired very much by fighting games with this title. Almost hit him from there. That would have been awesome if I managed that. So they were inspired by fighting games with the things like resource conservation. And I think that's great, because you can definitely feel that in this title. And you can also feel the Bloodline Champions and just a kind of a little bit of Dota and things like that in there for good measure. As I said, it's a high-skill game. And I love these sort of arena games. I really do. I like the competitive PvP where it's all about the skill, as his head clips through that terrain for some reason, but whatever. And this is all about the skill. With the exception, of course, of the perk point system. But I'll talk a little bit more about the ranked problem a little bit later. I'm going to show you some more characters first. And obviously I'm not gaining anything whatsoever for this, because I reached the maximum level here, but that's totally fine. We can switch out character for something else. Let's go to the fellow with the war club and the hatchets here. He's a little bit unusual, the tomahawks. Can queue up for this. So the core gameplay is excellent. You know, I really, really love it. But I am the sort of person that really enjoys that really tense, competitive sort of gameplay. And it is tense. It's super tense. Characters don't die that fast, so landing a lot of individual shots is very important. You don't really have a method of healing outside of that one character, the Deserter, that does have a med kit. So the damage you take is permanent. And, of course, in that game mode, once you're dead, you're dead. There are a few other game modes. For instance, there was a tug of war where you do respawn. You've got to get 5 kills ahead of the opponent to win, or run out the clock. And there is a mode in 3v3, which is defend the leader. So you have to assassinate a randomly chosen leader, and everybody else respawns. Pretty cool competitive game types. Now, of course, for some people, this isn't going to be enough. They're going to be asking, well, is that it? Is that all the game is? Well, yes. Just in the same way that that's kind of all Quake is, or Unreal Tournament, or whatever. The core game type is strong enough to carry the game on its own, as far as I'm concerned. For some people, that's not going to be true, and I think that's an issue that Bloodline Champions had as well. People want to progress, they want to level up, and all that sort of thing. And they want a little bit more complexity there. In something like Dota and League of Legends, the game mode is very complex. In a game like Bloodline Champions, the skill ceiling is very high because of how difficult it is to land the various abilities and actually manage your resources effectively and work as a team. But that doesn't mean that it's got a bunch of items and things like that you've got to worry about. And it's like, is there a jungle? And it's like, you don't have to worry about any of that, really, in this game. Not at all. Oh, this is really, really bad. Oh, God. I'm going to knock him over with my war club and try and get out of here. So that is worth bearing in mind. This is... Ouch. This is not a game that has any of that. But I think the core arena stuff is good enough, and the combat is skillful enough to justify repeated plays over and over and over again. Some people are going to disagree with me on that, and I understand that. But just because a game is relatively simple when you look at it from the outset doesn't necessarily mean that it is simplistic or dumbed down or casual or lacking depth. The game actually has a ton of depth. It just finds it in terms of the way that the skill ceiling works in this game, and not in terms of adding a bunch of maybe unnecessary mechanics. You know, it's a game with quite a lot of purity. How I actually lost half my health there, I don't know. This guy's clearly a lot better than me, and we're probably going to lose, but hey. Maybe my setup's just bad. This guy can also do a melee knockdown, but I don't really want to be close to this guy at the moment to actually get knocked down by any of this. Yeah, we're going to lose horribly. And failed the knockdown. We're screwed. Without a doubt. Hey, if I could take out both of these, that would be super impressive. I hoped the war club would actually shatter that terrain, but it didn't, so we're dead. And I'm stunned on top of a dynamite. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. But yeah, I love the combat. There's a couple of issues here and there, like the netcode is not ideal. If you go up against someone with very high ping, they have the potential to warp around the place, which is obviously not good. I don't encounter that all that often, but it has happened, and it's been very frustrating, particularly when I'm playing competitively. There is also the issue that every now and again you get a weird animation decoupling, which it just happens in these very odd scenarios. That probably has quite a lot to do with the netcode. So maybe I'll land an impale, and the guy should be on the end of my bayonet, but really isn't, but he's still stunned in the same way. So I'm like, well, do I shoot now, or do I have to shoot where he is on the screen now? You know, those are bugs and things that need to be ironed out as far as I'm concerned, and it's a little disappointing that they haven't already been ironed out, considering that this game has been in early access for a lot of time. Certainly the game's a hell of a lot more polished than what I played at PAX, but ultimately that was 2 years ago, so it is to be expected. I'm going to play a little bit here with Phantom Poncho to show you a few different abilities, and then we'll jump into ranked mode. So, let me talk about that ranked mode issue. So I think this is maybe the biggest albatross around the neck of the game right now. It has a solid player base, but a very small one. And of course, a lot of those players have been playing since the early access version, which means they're very good at it. Now, this wouldn't necessarily be a problem if the perk point system wasn't a thing in the ranked mode. With the perk points, that means that someone who's better than you is going to be higher ranked than you. They're going to be like legend rank or death rank or something along those lines. That means they're going to have more perk points than you on that character. That also means that they are not only better than you in terms of skill, but they're better than you statistically as well in terms of their character. And that to me is a lethal combination. I know that the perk points don't affect things too much. They're just a little bit of a buff, but giving an edge to somebody who's already better than you, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, if there was a large enough community for you to always be ranked against the same guys, it would be fine. Oh, I'm thug rank. That means the only person that I'm ever going to run into is a thug rank player on the other side. Great. Or we're going to have a team where maybe one guy's a little bit higher ranked, but the other guy is lesser and all that sort of thing. That would be great. The problem is that level of balance is not there right now. And I've run into pre-made teams that are just a nightmare, you know, with a bunch of legend rank players, and they just murder you. They completely and totally murder you. Your random team of thugs and outlaws versus 2 legends and a death rank player is not going to get anywhere, and they're going to get crushed. Obviously. I mean, what else would possibly happen in that situation? Of course they're going to get crushed. There's me using the secondary fire as a bit of a rocket jump there, which is a nice, cool little bit of functionality. Of course you're going to get murdered. And that's really disheartening. Of course. It really sucks, you know? And there's no real balancing mechanic in the game to help you there. You will just... I just got killed. Wow, okay. You will just get killed. And you'll get brutalized. And that's it. And there's nothing you can really do about that. The only thing that the game does do is it has a sort of odds ratio thing, which allows you to hopefully not lose too much bounty from going up against people who are a lot better than you. And that's good. But you can still lose bounty by losing to a team that is way, way better than you, which means it's more difficult for you to rank up and gain those perk points. So again, rich get richer. I don't think that's very well designed. And I think for a game that has such a small player base right now, it is very unwise to do that. And that is the sort of thing that they absolutely should not have done. That is something that I think they should probably remove for the time being. Like, the unranked mode doesn't have that problem, but I want to play 3v3 in unranked. I don't have the ability to do that, which is kind of ludicrous, actually. I'm not sure why they don't let you do that. You'd think that they would just give you access to the main mode in unranked, but they don't. And I mean, it's not like 2v2 isn't fun, but why can't I play the mode... Why can't I practice the mode that I'm going to be playing in the ranked? Why is that not the case? It's just like, it's a really weird design decision that doesn't make a lot of sense, and I think the only reason they decided to do it, honestly, was to try and make sure that you got quick matches, and the matchmaking didn't take too long. And I understand that, but simultaneously that doesn't solve the problem. So do I like it? Well, yeah, I mean, I really, really do. I think it's got a great aesthetic, it's got awesome music and sound effects, really high quality animations, at least when they don't decouple. I mean, look at this. That's a really nice little bit of detail there. And there's a little sound asset to accompany it, which I absolutely adore. The character design in general is really strong. There's a great theme to each character. They all look unique. Ow, please don't stab me, thank you. Actually surprised he didn't stab me there, I should have. Get over here. Stop shooting me! The game has friendly fire as well, as you probably noticed. Just something you've absolutely got to bear in mind. And the gameplay is tense and high skill and great action. Love it. Love it. All action all the time. He's just trying to evade until his friend comes back. And that's cool. I love that. But the game has quite a few problems, and that does make it a bit more difficult to recommend. So I'm going to say this to you, because I don't want to be the guy that says, look, I love this game and I want you to play it so I have a larger player base to play with. That's a dick move. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to say to you is this. Do you have the level of tolerance where you can say to yourself, okay, I died to a team that's much, much better than me. No big deal. Let's get into the next match. Are you the kind of person that can tolerate that? If so, certainly, Secret Ponchos is great. Are you the sort of person that really loves the competitive gameplay style of PvP? Then Secret Ponchos is great. Did you like Bloodline Champions? Play Secret Ponchos. However, if you are in a situation where you're gonna find the game frustrating, simply because of those balancing issues and the fact that matchmaking doesn't get you into games with people of the same skill level because of that small player base, then yeah, sure, don't play it. That's totally reasonable. You know, the player base size is a legitimate concern. I don't think it should be up to consumers to fix that problem, yeah? It's up to the developer to properly promote their game, I suppose, and make sure that people are actually willing to play it. And there's some things the dev could do to make the game more accessible. As I said, why is it that all of those abilities are not available in every screen? Why do I have to go into the game to find out what my character can do? That's silly. I should be able to learn it before that. And yeah, of course, there's practice mode, but you know, I should be able to remind myself of my different combos and keys and abilities in the loadout screen, in the lobby screen. Nice and easy. So those kind of things could be done. Plus, I also think, you know, 3v3 for unranked is much more sensible. Teach people how to play the main game type. Don't teach them how to play a game type that isn't even featured in the ranked queue. What use is that? If people want to play 2v2 with their friends in the private game lobby, sure, let them. Totally. But don't have them play that in unranked and then have to play 3v3 or 1v1 duels in the ranked mode. They're not properly prepared for it. You see where I'm going with this? The core gameplay is great. It's marred by some weird design decisions that don't make a lot of sense and some, I think, obvious inexperience with PC development. It works fine with keyboard and mouse. They actually recommended controller to me. I'm like, no, I'm not going to use controller for this. Let's go precision aiming. He's on the phone. Well, that's unfortunate for him. That is very unfortunate for him, isn't it? I'm sorry, I'm absolutely going to kill him. There's no excuse. I'm not going to wait around. It's ridiculous. We're just going to end the game. Plus, speakerphone exists for a reason, man. Come on. Just going to go chase the other guy down and end it. Great game. Marred by some weird design decisions, but this is all, it's all fixable. You know? These are the kind of things that are all very much fixable. So, hopefully they will be able to do that. Indeed, but, you know, we don't wait around for other people. Simple as that. So I'm going to jump into ranked mode and show what will probably be me getting absolutely destroyed, honestly. A lot of bounty for that, for the damage dealt. Very good. Probably going to get absolutely wrecked in this mode, but we'll give it a shot anyway. Ranked. There we go. Ooh, I should change my outlaw first. I don't want to queue with my lesser outlaw. There we go. Let's go with my deserter. And then change the game type to ranked and let's do a little quick match and see who we end up against. Probably somebody very good. Earlier, I was coming up against the same ranked team over and over again, and it was just brutal. And it is such a problem. It really is. Looks like maybe we get 1v1 or 3v3, we'll see. Okay, this looks actually quite balanced, thankfully. 2 outlaws and a petty versus a drifter and 2 outlaws. It's not entirely balanced, but it's close enough. That's fine. We hopefully shouldn't get completely murdered. Although, of course, it is also worth bearing in mind, by the way. Maybe the game has a hidden MMR or something like that. I assume it probably does, but when you start a new character, you go right back down to petty level. So you could be the most amazing player in the game, get petty. If you're matched up against other petties, you'll just murder them completely. It's kind of like a weird smurfing thing, but I'm going to assume the game has hidden MMR. If it doesn't, then that's incredibly poor design. Also, please don't tell me what about... Ow! The hell, man? Oh, dear. Alright, he's finally moving. So this is 3v3. which obviously is a great deal more tactical. Although these guys are clearly a lot better than me. I suppose it's to be expected. It's much, much easier also to get hit by friendly fire in this mode as well, so you might want to watch out for that. There we go. He is very badly injured. Hopefully we can finish him off now. Getting nice and close. Looking for the impale. Don't quite get it. There's lots to like about Secret Ponchos, but it's going to test your tolerance when it comes to matchmaking. You know, get yourself a bunch of friends to play it with, and enjoy the game that way. That seems like truly the best way to handle it. Otherwise, you may end up frustrated. I mean, I'm hoping that after this video, some people like the look of it, come and play it, and we sort of solve the population problem, at least for a while, but I don't want to use my videos as a means to do that, especially when it's a game that I enjoy, because I think there's a lot of selfishness in that. Saying, hey, come play this game that I really like, even though it's got a bunch of faults, because I want more people to play against. That's a dick move. Shouldn't be exploiting my channel to do that. But yeah, I think Secret Ponchos is kind of great. And I just hope that they solve some of those problems. I think, you know, a lot of them are quite easy to solve. The population problem maybe not so much, but you can make this game more accessible without making it dumb. Simple UI changes. Sensible things in relation to the PC version. Those are things that you could absolutely do, and you probably should. And I think we're dead. Go away. Oh dear. This is bad. This is very bad. Ah. Yeah, we're dead. We're screwed. Yeah, it's a really cool, tense deathmatch game. And it's available on Steam for $15 or your regional equivalent. With the caveats that I've just given you, the game is great. I really enjoy it. But by no means perfect, and certainly a lot of things the devs could do to improve things. My name has been TotalBiscuit, taking a look at Secret Ponchos. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.